in terms of reality, I'm gay married. Ooh. Right? Like, what is the point of this conversation?
Because you're not really married.
I'm sorry. I'm going to outright call you a fascist.
Oh, no.
And say that what you're saying is
forfend.
hate speech.
I have XX chromosomes, Michael.
You have XX chromosomes?
Yeah, would you call me she, her now?
I don't. I'll defer.
Today we're going to be reacting to a new jubiles video that has came out recently. It's about a straight man versus 25 LGBTQ plus weirdos. That's what the video is about today, y'all. Let's go ahead and watch it.
Hello, I'm Michael Knowles. I'm a conservative podcast host at the Daily Wire. I'm an author and I'm a cigar salesman of Mayflower Cigars. And today, I am surrounded by 20 LGBTQ plus activists.
Good luck, bro. I mean, logic is always going to win anyway. You know, even if it's 1 versus 25 here, man, because they're fucking retards, right?
My first claim is that there is no such thing as same-sex marriage. Wow.
Nice to meet you,
How
Michael.
are you, sir? Nice to see you.
I am doing well. So your claim, what's the underlying philosophy of your claim?
Well, I guess the underlying historical part of my claim is that everyone for all of history everywhere until, and I'm being generous, 2001, agreed with my view that there's no such thing as same-sex marriage. So it seems to me that marriage intrinsically requires sexual difference. And furthermore, I think that any claim that marriage could be redefined to include same-sex marriage would render the term marriage incomprehensible.
What do you say that this is based off natural law and consequence defines natural law?
There's a natural law argument for it. I think it's based on more than that. So it's based on anthropology.
What do you say that marriage is a set of legal rights or is it a social role?
I think marriage is an institution. I think it's a fundamental political institution. I think, getting back to classical philosophy, that man is fundamentally a social animal. So, I think the bedrock of politics is the unit of the family, and, of course, intrinsic to family is marriage.
Well, although especially natural law is just an assertion without evidence to back that claim, in that we see marriage over time, in cultures has been different things.
In which cultures would you say you see same-sex marriage?
I'm not saying same-sex marriage particularly, but the role when it comes to family, when it comes to conditions. Because you also say that if somebody is lawfully married, especially in the church, they cannot be divorced and then married again.
Well, I oppose divorce and remarriage, but I'm making a more modest claim. I'm just saying that at its core, marriage necessarily involves two different sexes.
But how do you prove that? Because all natural law is just an assertion. I can just easily say the opposite in that marriage is a legal right.
I'm actually speaking even more basically. I'm not even more basically than that. It seems to me that the only way that marriage could have a meaning is if it involves different sexes.
But once again, you're defining that meaning. But marriage essentially is a set of rights conferred from two spouses when it comes to inheritance, when it comes to the rights of the children, when it comes to a number of about 1,100 federal and state rights.
Okay, then what you're getting at is interesting and might help us move forward. How would you define marriage?
I would say marriage is a legal contract between individuals when it comes to a set of property laws, when it comes to family law, when it comes to children, and many other rights that are conferred. And we do see that those rights have been conferred to members of the same sex. And so to say that same-sex marriage does not exist is not true because we see it.
Well, you say that marriage entails rights pertaining to children. Well, two men cannot create a child.
But
two
neither
women
can
cannot
infertile
create
couples. And neither can, there are a number of couples that cannot have children.
Sure, so infertility sometimes occurs, and that's
And
unfortunate.
so does gay.
Sure, it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing in this world currently. But yeah, he makes some good points. Like, obviously, like they're not going to be able to get kids and shit. Like that's obvious. Like two men are not going to be able to have a child, just like two women aren't going to be able to have a child. That's just basic biology at that point.
All right, guys.
All right.
That's it for this claim. Please return
All
to
right.
your seat.
Thank you. Thanks. My next claim is that transgenderism should be eradicated from public life entirely.
Hi.
Hello.
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
Blossom Powerhouse, lovely to meet you.
Yes. Go ahead. I want to know your ideology around transgenderism, something that doesn't exist. It just sounds more like conservative propaganda. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, I think for all of history everywhere, people have understood the human person to have something to do with his body. So like your body has something to do with who you are. Now there is an alternative view, which is called Gnosticism. It's a view that our bodies don't really have anything to do with who we are, that the body is maybe even evil, and that our true selves have no connection to our bodies. And I see in the transgender ideology a kind of Gnosticism that says that you could look like a man, you could have a man's genetics, you could have a man's genitals, you could have a man's everything. But if you feel on some deep level that you're really a woman, then you are really a woman. And I don't think that's true. And I think that the social effects of that are really bad because it leads to the depriving women of their legitimate rights. In some cases, it leads to rapes, notably in the last few years. And it also leads to women losing their sports competitions and their scholarships. And it's just disordered and false. And it also leads to more people adopting this identity, which leads to very high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. So it's bad for everyone, and it's not grounded in reality.
Facts, man. Like, it's always going to lead to more problems, man, if we just continue coping. I agree with him here, man. The straight guy, obviously. Like, that's what I'm talking about here, man.
Ooh, I don't even think you understand what you say sometimes. I don't think you even understand what you say, because when we talk about these rape cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear where it's coming from.
No, that's not true. In 2021,
excuse me, do not interrupt a black trans woman.
I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
No, thank you.
Here's
the thing about me as a black trans woman. I am not a threat to cis women, and I think it is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponizing facts.
Transgenderism does not exist. We as trans people exist. We are 1% of the population. And there is a lot of power in the trans identity, because you are sitting here spewing something to me that doesn't really exist.
I'm not spewing anything. I'm just stating facts plainly.
I have lived experience.
Why are we calling this guy a woman, man? He's a fucking man. Like, you can tell, man, you know? And also, like, I'm just curious about their points here. I don't agree with anyone here, because anyone can do that crime. Like, I'm not gonna say the actual word because I don't want to get in trouble for YouTube, you know, rules, man. But anyone can do that in a restroom. I don't think that's really relevant to, you know, use here. Like, I don't think that's a valid point, to be honest with you. And yeah, man.
You don't, and you never will. But I do have a question.
I have
for
lived
you.
experience.
What if one of your
I'm alive.
What if one of your kids came out as trans? How would you
God
react
forbid.
to that?
I mean, I would obviously love my children, and I would try to do what's best for my children. And the best thing that I could do to be respectful and also to be conducive to their flourishing is to tell them the truth, which is that they're not really girls.
Come on. I can't even imagine your relationship with your children. No shade.
That's great. That's a great relationship.
I just cannot even imagine that. But here's the reality. We exist. Again, people like you do not have the intellectual capacity to hold conversations like this, because in a minute you're going to reduce this down to genitalia, and then we're going to have to shift it somewhere else, because obviously people like you, that's where they go, right?
In a minute, what I'm going to do is correct something you said. When you said that the rapes that have occurred in these bathrooms are cis men.
White cis men, I should say, actually.
That isn't true. Loudoun County, 2021, the big case that actually ended up flipping the state was because there was a boy who wore a skirt, went into the girls' bathroom and raped a girl in a particularly hideous way. And do you know what happened? Hold on, don't cut me off. You said...
Like I said, man, anyone can do crimes and shit. Like, I don't get why they're bringing this shit up, you know, the situation, you know. It's a terrible situation and shit, but I don't understand the point of bringing this up, because cis men can do it, trans men or trans women can do it, man. It's not really relevant here, so I'm just gonna end the video here, man, because this video is getting way too long, and I'm not trying to have a hell editing this, you know what I mean?